Welcome to the BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be discussing Pittsburgh Steelers outside linebacker Bud Dupree. So let's get started. For those who don't know, Bud Dupree was one of 14 players in the offseason to be slapped with the franchise tag, as he had a breakout season last year, and the Steelers didn't want him to leave Pittsburgh just yet, so they went ahead and slapped that non-exclusive franchise tag. He is now playing on another one-year prove-it deal on the contract year. All right, so for those who don't follow me on my podcast, or if you're new to following me, I like breaking down every transaction or every move, or when I discuss every player, into different parameters. I want to talk about who the players involved, why the move was made, and then the instant gratification versus long-term gains. And that's what we're going to do with Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree is no different. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the player. Bud Dupree. Who is Bud Dupree? Well, Bud Dupree was a 2015 first-round pick, number 22 overall at a University of Kentucky. He is 6'4", 269, had a 1.610 yard split, and also had a 7.523 cone drill. He had a 42-inch vertical and a 138-inch broad jump. Those are explosive numbers, which is why I'm pointing these numbers out to you, because it tests a person's get-off. What you saw at Kentucky, it translates onto the football field, and it also translates in the measurables that I just explained with those crunching numbers. All right. Now, what do you get with Bud Dupree when you look at those numbers? Well, you get foot quickness, lateral agility, and again, you get the get off, right? And Bud Dupree in his first 4 years, kind of like Eric Armstead, he didn't really live up to that first round hype. He only had 5 sacks in his first 4 years, and then broke out last year, just like Armstead, with a career season racking up 11.5 sacks on the year. Now, if you look in my grading system, as you guys know, I grade all 32 NFL teams and all their players, and Bud Dupree was graded out as a 7.3. If you follow me in my grading system, you know 7.3 and above is at All-Pro status. And yes, Bud Dupree was not only a Pro Bowl snub, he was an All-Pro snub. He should have been in there. He was rated as a first-team All-Pro. But all is for naught. At least Kevin Colbert saw it. That's why he slapped the franchise tag on him. And this is what Kevin Colbert said, the Steelers GM, about Bud Dupree. He said in the offseason, "We want Bud Dupree to finish his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers." That's why they slapped the non-exclusive franchise tag. They didn't want him to leave. This year, he is having similar success. I mean, he's getting to the quarterback. Again, let me look at my grading system and tell you where his success lies. All right, so in terms of gap integrity, gap control, or setting the edge and missed assignments, he only has 8, which is a really, really good number. And then you take that and double down on that by his ability to have tackles for loss. He has 2.5 for -8 yards. He also has 8 sacks from the pass rush department, 6 quarterback hits, and a team leading. Okay, you got to remember T.J. Watt's on that team too. In my grading system, he has a team-leading 21 quarterback pressures, resulting in a loss of down. So when you take that all into account, what is Bud Dupree doing? Well, in another contract year, he's proving that he's being consistent, and he has come along. So is he worth that big payday? Absolutely. Now it comes to the question whether or not the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to extend him. I don't know. I really don't know, because just like the 49ers, the Steelers find themselves in salary cap hell. You have nose tackle Tyson Alulu, who's also graded as an all-pro player in my grading system, due to become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. You have left tackle Alejandro Villanueva, scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. And then you have nickelback Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton's coming to be due for unrestricted free agency, just like K'Waun Williams with the 49ers situation. So there's a lot of free agents that the Steelers need to prioritize, and if you're building teams from the inside out like the Steelers like to do traditionally, is there enough money to go around? Because at the end of the day, you can only have so much money to pull from to re-sign these players, and with the cap dropping from $198.2 million to about $175 million, that only handicaps you or handcuffs you even more so, because you don't know what to do with the players that you have. You have to kind of pick and choose, because every GM is in the same predicament. Like, my gosh, the cap's dropping. Usually it goes up, and now it's dropping because of COVID. How are we going to play our off-season game? These are questions that need to be answered, and people have been asking me, Steelers fans have been asking me, what's my take on Bud Dupree? Is he worth the money? Absolutely, he's worth the money, but can the Steelers afford him? Absolutely not. As I mentioned before, there's other unrestricted free agents coming up, as well as the team drafted in the third round, Alex Highsmith. You don't draft a guy number 102 to ride the pine. You draft that guy to be an eventual starter. And to ease the blow of losing Bud Dupree next year, because you have to remember T.J. Watt is coming up for an unrestricted free agent. If he's not given a contract in the upcoming years, there's not enough money to go around. And of course, edge rushers come at a premium, but you cannot retain all those players and still keep the core intact. You want to keep the core you want to keep the core intact as much as possible, so you're going to have to give and take somewhere and sacrifice somewhere. And despite Bud Dupree playing at an all-pro level, I just don't see how the Steelers can afford him and T.J. Watt, along with Tyson Alulu, Nick Holton, Mike Hilton, and a few other of those players. So that's where the discrepancy lies. Is there's just not enough money to go around. And let's talk about Alex Highsmith, right? So I kind of went off topic, kind of touched on that right now. Alex Highsmith is a walk-on, little background, walk-on for the Charlotte 49ers. Back in college, he walked on, was a special team ace, and that's the one thing that the Steelers absolutely loved, was his ability to prove his worth on special teams. Same thing with Chase Claypool. Kevin Colbert echoed the same analysis in regards to him when they scouted him, and they loved him. They loved him. They loved what they saw from him at the All-Star games and so forth. All right. Now, Alex Highsmith's snap count has been increasing over the course of the year. No surprise there. And he's making the most of his opportunity. In my grading system, he has 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits, and 1 crucial interception against the Ravens, Lamar Jackson. When you take that into account, what does that mean? That means that they're grooming him to be the future starter. I hate to say it, but Bud Dupree is outplaying that contract. He's having one hell of a year. He's playing at an all-pro level. They just don't have enough money to go around. Alex Highsmith, again, wasn't drafted in the third round to ride the pine. Plain and simple. And Alex Highsmith is actually getting starter situational reps. So when you actually look at the game film and see the down and distance in the situations that the Pittsburgh Steelers are putting him in, they're actually grooming him to be the starter next year. And you're seeing it as each game and each week progresses. So getting back to the question, do I believe that Bud Dupree is going to get re-signed next year? No, I don't. I think they're going to let him walk and test free agency. The cap drops. You have Big Ben with his big cap number. You can't really restructure his contract because he's at the end of that contract. So the best bet would be to just give him a contract extension to kind of ease the blow where you can on the salary cap. But at the end of the day, there's just not enough money to go around. All right. So that's pretty much about it. I was fielding a lot of questions about Bud Dupree because he's been outperforming his contract again. Despite being slapped with the franchise tag, he's playing at an all-pro level in my grading system for the second straight year. And unfortunately, like I said, there's just not enough money to go around. All right. Well, if you liked what I had to offer, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen as I keep all things Beast. And again, the people who are watching, thank you for the thumbs up. And the people who are also watching and thumbs me down, the same 4 people or 4 or 5 people, please keep thumbsing it down. I like the thumbs down because it basically helps my algorithm and means that you're watching. So thank you for being a hater. I appreciate it. BEASTwriter, out. Out and out and out and out.